everyone. Thank you all for coming to this round table titled Engaging Audiences, Expanding Circles. We organized this round table as a part of the workshop, The Political Novel Through the Lens of Gender, and the Cartography of the Political Novel in Europe project. We imagined this as a conversation about the contemporary literary scene here at the literary club Buxa, because Buxa is a partner of the Caponeo project, and this club is also a venue for one of the Caponeo book clubs, the Feminist Book Club. But Buxa is much more than that, and we will hear more about their activities soon. I am very pleased to introduce our speakers, Ivana Dražić and Anja Tomljenović. Ivana Dražić is the editor-in-chief of the web portal Buxa.hr, a literary critic and journalist, as well as a member of the regional critical collective Pobunjene čitateljke. And Anja Tomljenović is a renowned literary critic whose texts are published in the most important regional cultural media. She is the moderator of the Buxa Book Club and Buxa Book Club Plus, if I'm correct about the titles. And she is also a member of the collective Pobunjene čitateljke, as Ivana. In addition to her literary expertise, she is also an art historian and an author of rewarded short stories. So Ivana and Anja, thank you very much for accepting this invitation to take part in this round table as speakers. And I will ask you a few questions, but you can of course intervene with your topics if you wish. So let's start with Ivana, since we are here in Buxa. This year, Buxa is no longer a teenager. It celebrates 20 years of its work, and your motto for this occasion is 20 years of literature in a different way. And all of us who are regular guests here know what that means, how literature exists in a different way here. But could you try to summarize the main idea and activities of Buxa as a literary club, and also one of the most important regional media dedicated especially to literature?
Hello Mirella, hello everyone. First, thank you for the invitation. I am beyond excited to talk to you and Anja today, so I'm very happy about it. And of course, I would like to wish you all a very warm welcome to Buxa, this little club that we've been having in Zagreb for the past 20 years, as you mentioned. So, just maybe before I start, I do have some notes here, because my mind tends to freeze a bit with English, so if I'm reading a bit, that's why. Yes, this year is very special for us at Buxa, special and exciting because we are celebrating our 20th birthday. So 20 years since Buxa opened, 20 years of continuous programs dedicated to literature and the world around us. Various panels, workshops, book clubs, concerts, etc. It's quite a big thing, actually. No one here at Buxa likes to talk about our own achievements too much, but I think really it's a big deal that many of my colleagues before me, what they achieved, what they keeping and making Buxa what it is today. So just to get a bit technical, Buxa, this place you're at, a literary club, a literary cafe as some call it, a place for literature, is run by an NGO, a non-profit called Association for Promotion of Cultures, Kulturträger. But we mostly go by Buxa, and everyone knows us as Buxa. So this place is actually one of many things, many programs and projects we do. During the day, Buxa is a place to chill, to drink coffee, to hang out, study, work, whatever. And in the evening we have many different events, both our own and hosted by other organizations, mostly regarding literature, but also arts, various arts, human rights, travels, etc. And whatever we do, we try to keep it up to date, relevant, interesting, fun even, critical, non-academic, but smart and intelligent, inviting for everyone, which is very important for us, very open for audience to participate, whether for them to propose their own events or just joining, inviting the audience to join into our conversations and panels we host. And I think that's the main thing that makes Klub Buksa, its openness to everyone, but also its a strong sense of values towards the things that matter to us. You've also mentioned in your introduction the media part. That's also one of the, I think, things we're best known for. Certainly one of our most visible projects. So, Kulturträger is a publisher of Buksa HR that started in 2007. It is a media dedicated to literature. I'm its editor-in-chief, as Mirela said, and Anna here is my dear colleague and journalist, literary critic. I like to stress out this media part as we're not a blog, we're not a Buksa's web page, so we're legit media, which means we publish daily. We publish content regarding literature, so literary criticism. I think we're best known for publishing literary criticism. So we've been publishing it since 2007, and I think it's around 800 texts, literary critiques, so it's quite a big archive in these, I don't know how many years. We've been publishing reviews, interviews, podcasts. We've been publishing podcasts for 5 years now, I think, so we were one of the first that started. We didn't jump on the podcast train. We started it. It was baby steps, but still. Publish columns, essays, but we also publish daily news, so infos on events, books, etc. And we're completely independent, regarding any publishing houses or whatever, and we're non-profit. We're very critical, and we like to operate without compromising our values, and that's one thing I'm mostly proud of when it comes to Buksa, that we're really non-compromising and non-calculating. Yes. Buksa HR's core values are the same as the organizations and the club Buksas, etc. So still understanding literature as a product of a wider socio-political context, of course, and regional approaches are also very important to us. So we write a lot about books published in the region, and we have many collaborations from all ex-EU, which enables us to share perspectives and knowledge, and that regionality is also one of the, I think, values the most important for us, and I think what makes us. The other value I would also like to stress out is the openness to young contributors and collaborators. So we've been throughout these years working a lot with young critics, young journalists, aspiring journalists, students. So mentoring, giving opportunities, and we build strong relationships with our contributors and collaborators. And maybe also, since it's specific kind of media and a specific kind of time, just to stress out that we also pay for pay all our journalists, so students equal as all the contributors. So yeah, there's many more projects and programs we do. We have been organizing a festival review of small literatures, which I know you will ask me about in a minute. With our partners for our organization Kurziv, we handle Center for Documenting Independent Culture, which is there upstairs. It is an archive of exactly what it says, so independent culture in Croatia since 90s. Only one of that kind in Croatia and region. And with that, we've had many educational projects for organizations in Croatia regarding keeping their materials, organizing it and archiving it. We're also a small baby or boutique publisher. Every year we publish around 5 books, so anthology, the review of small literatures. We have edition Prijatelji, friends, that we publish with our partners from Multimedia Institute, and we publish short prose, poetry, essays that we think move the horizon of the domestic literary and artistic creativity, as we like to say it. So we published Laszlo Krasnohorka and Carson, Jarno, and many more. We've also published books regarding with essays regarding literary criticism, studies of criticism, literature, etc. There's still lots of things I didn't mention here. I think it's quite enough to get the idea of who we are and what we do. I know that it looks like a chill and cozy place, and it is, but it's also quite a machine behind it.
Yes, thank you, Ivana. That's usually like that because there is so much work behind it. That's why it goes. It seems so smooth when we are here. Thank you so much for this short review of books as most important activities. And I would like to ask Anya a bit more about that, because Anya is not only a regular guest here at Buksa for years, but also she's one of its most distinguished contributors, especially as a literary critic and the moderator of Buksa book clubs. So Anya, can you tell us about your experience here and how do you see Buksa's place in the regional literary scene?
First of all, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mirela, for these kind words and for this invitation. I'm really happy to share this stage with Ivana. And Ivana, what a great presentation of Buksa's work and endeavors. Good job. So I will maybe talk about from like a personal perspective about my experience in Buksa. So since I studied Croatian language and literature alongside with art history, Buksa was kind of always on my cultural radar, let's say. And yeah, always like kind of interesting and vibrant place for literature and different activities related with literature in general. So yeah, how I started to write for Buksa, I think you kind of scouted me in Sarajevo when we were on like Bukstan workshop, right? So we started to actively cooperate since I guess 2020. It was maybe, or maybe later. I forgot. Since Corona, I really don't have any sense of time. So, but what I wanted to emphasize is I felt really welcomed from the start, and I think Buksa has been like go-to destination, not just in the city, but in region as well for engaging in thought-provoking discussions. But as you said, in a relaxed and like supportive environment. And yeah, I'm lucky enough to moderate two book clubs, which is an experience that really fulfills me and yeah, gives me great joy. Because we created like a really cozy atmosphere from the start. I encourage different point of views, different opinions. It's not really about do you like the book or not, but what places did you find interesting? Did you find something that like triggered you? So we often find like some places that encourage further discussion about, again, literature, society-related topics, politics, environment, I mean, all the contemporary themes that Buksa also deals with. And yeah, I think we have like different participants, and whether they are like new to the world of books or maybe have some more experience, I think everybody contributes like to create, as I said, like lively discussions, and that's what I really enjoy, like sharing the collective experience of reading, also. And I'm always glad when they tell me that they just found out about some book that they didn't know about. So I'm like, yes, one more point for me. Yeah, so it's incredibly fulfilling, and they are all passionate readers, so like hour and a half is not long enough for our discussions. And yeah, maybe just to conclude this part, I would also like to say that I think what's special about Buksa is that here gather both professionals and like literature enthusiasts. So I think when you can share like the space with different kinds of people and again different points of view, I think it also creates like really cool vibes. Yeah, I love to see how friendships are formed, and always I think with Buksa's programs there's always like kind of curiosity what will happen next. So.
Okay, thank you. And one of the recognizable elements of Buksa's engagement, and that is why we decided to organize the roundtable exactly around this topic of the whole workshop. This is the dedication to feminist issues and authors. And since 2005, that's what I found, Buksa organizes the annual review of small literatures, which Ivana already mentioned. That is a festival which already had more than 150 writers from different countries presented here. And this year for September and for the October, sorry. This year the title of the review is Queer Balkan. So Ivana, could you tell us a bit more about the review of small literatures in general as a festival, and how you came up with this year's topic?
Yes, so feminism and generally anti-patriarchy, anti-capitalism, anti-mainstream values are I think naturally understood when you talk about the review of small literatures. But I would say those are generally values we operate on naturally, more or less consciously. So the review was started in 2005 by my colleague Miljenka Buljević, and it since then has been presenting works from authors and languages that have not yet been published in Croatia, and languages and cultures we have very little connections with, who are already acclaimed authors in their countries. It started in 2005 after realizing that back then we had very little literary connections with our neighbors. So the first reviews represented authors from Bosnia and Herzegovina, Slovenia, Montenegro, and so on for the Balkan countries. And after that, we proceeded to Baltic literatures, Benelux, quite well known were reviews dedicated to Arabic literature, so from Maghreb, Levant, and Egypt. We represented Sami literature, Icelandic, Maltese, etc. In each year we publish anthology of the translated authors, and authors usually come to Boksa for the festival. We do it because not because it brings us the audience or the fame or whatever, because it's a review of small literature, so the audience is usually also small, but we do it because we think it's important and that we're making a change. And actually we saw changes being made, so after our review, some of the authors were again translated. Entire books were translated into Croatian. So since this is also a 20th review, we decided to look back a bit, to return where we started, as I said earlier, to Balkan countries, thematically steering it towards queer. So we have wonderful authors from Slovenia, Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro, Albania, Kosovo, North Macedonia, Greece, Bulgaria, and Romania. Why queer? Well, honestly, it just stems from our own personal interests in that subject, and we've been dealing with queer themes and subjects in Boksa HR kind of naturally, as well as here in Boksa, so we decided it was kind of came naturally to us to dedicate the review to that subject too. And maybe, queer here we don't understand only in terms of LGBTIQ plus themes and orientations of the authors, of course, but also in a broader sense of subverting norms of genre, themes, social norms, and experimenting also with themes and forms, as I said, genre. And it also includes then like a broader feminist, workers' right, class themes, the capitalist, etc. So the festival will take place from 8th until 10th October, and my colleague Lara Mitrakovic and I gathered some wonderful authors of different generations for the anthology, and most of them will join us here in Zagreb for the panels and readings at the festival itself.
Thank you. To keep with the regional context, Anja, you are a member of a regional collective of literary critics, and Ivana also, but I would like to ask more Anja, because also of the literary prize. The collective is called Povoljene čitateljke. We could translate it as rebel readers, but women readers, although Povoljene čitateljke also, you have men in your collective, so you have the women only in the title. And could you tell us how this collective developed and what are its main goals and activities?
Yeah, thanks. I would be really happy to talk a bit about the Rebel Readers. So we are a collective of young literary critics from countries that emerged from the former Yugoslavia, and we try to critically read, examine, analyze mostly local but also translated literary production. And what is important, we try to do it from feminist perspective but also queer, Marxist, decolonial and eco-critical. And while doing that, also want to open some space for a critical stance on the literary authorities, and also think about how we maybe sometimes use today literary criticism as a marketing tool. So we want to also emphasize the other side, and I would say maybe power of critic. And the big thing is international, regional, and solidarity. So I think we kind of joined like this increasing movement that's happening in the region that encourages marginalized voices, and we want to also push that and emphasize that in general. And if we would want to determine like rebellious literature that we are dealing with, or maybe explain a bit what we think when we think about rebellious literature. So broadly it would be the literature with clear aesthetic and ethical dimensions, so literature with intentions that in every sense transcends boundaries, destabilizes systems, deconstructs norms, and challenges, undermines and innovates, and I would say like maybe literature that is in itself a bit restless. So I think that's really appealing to us. Maybe just a few words about Štefica Cvek. So our it's not really an award, more precisely it would be like literary selection that we also organized the first edition. It was 3 years ago, and this year we are waiting on the third selection anxiously. We wanted with Štefica Cvek maybe change a bit what is expected from literary awards in general, and somehow fill the gap that we felt there is in the literary field, and give something to the audience that is interested in engaged like feminist literature. Just encourage like texts that we find worthy of attention by opening new themes, maybe original approaches, maybe stylistic innovations, or formal innovation, not exclusively that they are the best. It's also a question that we want to deal with, like what does it mean to be the best in the literature, and best according to what, or in opposition to whom. The number of selected books will change every year, and in line, of course, what production during that year has to offer. Maybe just also would like to say that our colleagues have different activities that also include reviews, different articles, interviews, podcasts, like really so many things that deal with literature and encourage this kind of engaged thinking. Maybe also, to say that it all started with our colleagues in Belgrade, in Serbia, and then I don't know the exact chronology, but Ivana invited me also to to join, and I was really happy and immediately said yes. So yeah, now we cooperate with our colleagues from Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, North Macedonia, and Montenegro. The third selection is now in process, and we will see soon.
You are also a member of the jury, or I don't know how to say it, as a committee for choosing. To have some experiences you wish to share? And also what came to my mind is, do you think that kind of critical interest that Pogonja Čitateljka is showing can encourage more authors to come out and present their work to the public?
It's really important for us to that everything we do it like with really good amount of self-reflection and discussion. So we wanted to this jury process to be also very self-conscious and elaborate. It has given me like a great opportunity to read some new books from other countries that we just mentioned, and also like have a small book club within the jury while we were examining the books. So maybe just to clarify in a few words the selection process, because I think it's really interesting. So in the first phase, we invited as many cultural workers in the literary field as possible. So that were writers, editors, journalists, critics, and they proposed title of the books that they thought are aligned with our invitation, let's say. And also with book recommendations, it's really important for us to engage different audiences and like broaden that circle of our contacts. So every person had also the opportunity to maybe recommend the invitation that we published online and like send it further. And so jury consists of 2 rounds, and just last week we published our like first selection, broader circle of books that we think are really were like kind of deserve the attention, that were published in the 2023. We had like weekly meetings, and we discussed a particular amount of books that we read, what we think about stylistic choices, the themes, what are some maybe places that are just not working in the context of the book or in the context of our jurying process. And we'd like to take into the account both text and the context. That's really important for us. And also always what we want to keep in our mind is that is this author, or should I be more precise, this book offers like a new perspective, maybe because we're interested in power dynamics and how a book deals with like portraying the full complexity and nuances arising from like different power structures in society. And also let's don't forget like the pure pleasure of reading, and how do we enjoy the text, and how does it function like also on that level. And to maybe talk about on your second part of your question, we would like to encourage more authors to present their work to the public, because we want to create a platform that just in a way validates and amplifies these voices, so like someone from the outside can see that their book and their text is taken care of, and with a great amount of, also reflection and thinking and discussing, and that their work is being taken seriously. Maybe it like motivates them to continue their writing or their creating, and also on the other hand, by highlighting these books and fostering discussions around it, I think we are trying to create also like supportive community that values and promotes diverse perspectives, because I think we here are lacking, like maybe we will talk about it a bit later, but also really emphasize these different perspectives and show that they are valid and they are needed in the contemporary society. So just hope that we attract more authors, also critics, journalists, maybe to share our work with us, and so we could have more exciting and innovative literary field.
Yes, and before we move to questions I prepared for both of you, you can choose who goes first. Ivana, do you already have a part of the program for the review of small literatures that you would like to announce, so we can put it in our calendars for October?
Yes, I can reveal maybe a small part. So, as I said before, we gathered 10 authors from 10 Balkan countries, authors of different generations, sensibilities, approaches. We have short stories, we have excerpts from novels, poetry, we have experimental poetic prose. We've managed to include drama, experimental drama, which I'm especially happy about. Precisely because since I was in the first two juries of Štefica Cvek, we've noticed how very little drama is proposed and is actually published. So we put a lot of effort to include it. For the authors, so maybe this is like a premiere, I can tell you the 10 authors we chose for the anthology. So from Macedonia we have Stefan Alijević, which a short story from his collection Noćni autobus, which was awarded Štefica Cvek in 2023. From Bulgaria we have Jordan Slavejkov, his short story Tongue. From Romania we have Nora Ugron, queer feminist poet and anarchist. We will translate her poetry. From Montenegro we have Diana Rakočević. We've commissioned 2 short stories from her. From Kosovo we have Arber Selmani, a wonderful activist and journalist. So we will translate his poetic prose. From Greece we have Vaja Kalefa. She's a poet. We will translate her poetry. From Albania we have Kristi Tinderi. We will be translating his prose, his memoirs. From Slovenia we have a young poet, Vesna Letonik. We will translate her poetry. From Bosnia we have Selma Asodic. We commissioned new poetry from her, so we're very excited about that. And from Serbia we have Galina Maksimović, her experimental drama. And this year we are very happy to have Štefica Cvek also, so we will host all the awarded authors and members of the jury. So we will also have a panel dedicated to Štefica Cvek prize. So I think that will be enough. I already spoiled quite a lot, but we will soon be publishing news regarding the review and the anthology and everything about that.
Sounds very interesting. So now I will move to questions that both of you can answer from your perspective. One is very general. How do you see the status of feminist and queer issues and authors in the current regional literary scene? What are the main problems, and are there any positive changes over the years of your experience?
Big question. Do you want to start?
I can. Well, I'd say it's quite exciting. I will start on a positive note. So it's there's really lots of great, feminist and generally subversive authors, aesthetically also, great authors, quality-wise. So, and there may be like of the younger generations, and mostly can be found on the margins of this mainstream here, which includes mainstream media, mainstream literary prizes, events, festivals, I don't know. I mean, there's a great deal, of course, of great established authors who tackle important issues, but I think there are many younger voices who are also quite exciting, experimental, and maybe it is harder for them to get to kind of the mainstream. So I think that the mainstream is one thing, and the excitement is maybe happening on the margins of it, I guess, as it always is. I don't know. So I see positive things for sure. It's probably a generational thing too. So I feel that younger voices, new generation of writers, but also readers, are much more vocal about some issues than their social media, which I'm not particularly fond of. But it does show some potential for some sort of good collectiveness and maybe even call to account. Many situations, for example, like blatant sexism, could probably go on the radar like 10-ish, 5 years ago, and today it is harder to go unnoticed and without reaction. So yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm like thinking out loud. Those are some like positive changes I see.
And maybe just to add a few sentences, like from Števica Cvek's jury's point of view, I would say, considering the last 3 selections, I think we can agree that the reaction of the literary community was pretty positive. And that was also a sign that something like this that needed to be created, and there was a climate for this initiative, also like interest and need, I would say. Yeah, I would agree with Ivana. Also, young readers are really important, also, maybe just to mention that here in Buksa, but also Pobunjene čitateljke act like mentors to young people also. So whether it's like just reviewing the article or some critic or giving some suggestions about the texts, I think also we created that kind of environment where you can ask questions, and you can ask for the support that you need, especially if you're that young and want to try something, to create something in the literary field. So yeah, whether it's experimenting, researching, or they just want to see how it's out there. And yeah, maybe just to add that about the readers, and yeah, completely agree with you that I think the most exciting things always happen on the margins, so.
Yes, and since we are talking about the independent culture and the literary scene, could you maybe stress some big challenges in your work, and where do you find inspiration when you face these challenges?
Yeah, so working in an independent culture, it's, I don't want to get too negative, but it's always the money, so it's always lack of it, the uncertainty of funding. Yeah, I mean, talking from the perspective of Booksa and being the editor-in-chief of Booksa HR, it's also, and being a part of Rebel Readers too, it's also people holding grudges. The book circulation is still quite complicated and expensive sometimes. The literary scenes are in the region are still quite separated. There's quite a lot of gatekeeping, so yeah, maybe I can stop there.
Yeah, maybe just to stress a bit, like the obvious difficulties that we face while working in Pobunje Čitateljke Rebel Readers. So geographical distance, we don't see each other as much as we would want to. So we communicate like in every way we can think of, through messages, like video calls, and that kind of stuff. So maybe that's just one part of the challenge, and also there is not enough like funding or maybe financial support to that we could use for travels or maybe regular meetings or gatherings and that kind of stuff. And also I was just talking about this with our colleague Tribina from Macedonia, from North Macedonia, and maybe also during this jury process we kept in mind that something that maybe is innovative or like that year really strong in the literary production in the local area maybe is not really compared to the other countries, so we always need to keep in mind like what's relevant in Croatia, maybe it's not really relevant in Macedonia, but then again I guess that Štefica Cvek will also show us like different kinds of genres and tendencies and what the people like in general are interested in exploring, both in themes, topics, and also like structural wise. So yeah.
Maybe just to kind of add a bit on the challenge for the Štefica Cvek, of course you mentioned the issues of funding and everything, and being into first two installments of the jury of Štefica Cvek, it was a big issue for us, and a big thing for us to have a fund for the prize. So to have some amount of money to give to authors, because that's also a big part of the prizes. So the first year we went, we were completely broke, of course. We were all volunteering and had zero funds for the prize. So the too bad for the authors of the firstly award authors, but yeah, we had nothing then. And after that, we've had a crowdfunding campaign quite good, and we managed to have a couple €100. No one got rich from it. It was still very little. It was 300, 400 euros maybe for each authors. And then this year we've managed to get some more like bigger projects and recognition. So the funding is also a bit more more generous, I guess. But you also asked about the inspirational, not only about the challenges. This will sound so pathetic, but it's really honestly love for this, for me, for what I do. It's really like believing and being certain that what we do is great, that the literature is amazing thing to do, that it's interesting, that it's important, that it can change or shake something. So my motivation always comes from people I work with, so my colleagues from Buksa, all my colleagues and friends from journalists from Buksa HR, who are also amazing. There's so many great people I meet along the way, so many less great people, but it's still, it's fine. Students, I mentioned before, so young, aspiring critics, is like, it's really a great thing about this job. So, of course, my wonderful colleagues at Rebel Readers, so they're beyond amazing. So, like, breaking so many walls, I don't know, like the collectiveness of it. There's many awards. So I started this quite negative with all the challenges, and there's much more positive and inspirational behind it.
Sorry, Muriel, I completely forgot about my inspiration, so thanks for reminding me. I agree with you, just what you said. Collective work is really exciting for me. I think that there could be a lot more of it, and because it just gives you the opportunity to self-examine, to get some reassurance from your colleagues, to get a different point of view on things. So that's always pretty exciting. And just also a book club moderator, I'm always looking for new titles and thinking about what we should read next. So just pure excitement also when discovering some really good book and wanting to share it with others, and just discover maybe some new places and then highlight the voices that I think really need their light in a way in this world. So also maybe it's important to mention that with Czech we also got support from colleagues and fellow writers, and that also meant a lot because they also pushed us. They also when you get that kind of feedback of really amazing people, so it means that you're doing something good. So also some collective atmosphere that maybe is created that's really fulfilling, and what did I write? Literature that raises questions that we thought were only our own. So maybe that just wanted to say that.
And you both touched on this collectiveness part, so that would be my last question. For this conversation, what is the importance of this collectivity, the collective life of literature? that happens here in places like books in many different shapes, round tables, book clubs, book exchanges even. Is this literature in a different way, maybe also a literature in a collectivity?
Well, it is important to show that we can work together, and it is important to work together. So, collectively, horizontally, new types of knowledge are produced, new insights, new ways of thinking, learning how to listen to others, working together on something, giving something to someone, sharing knowledge or education or whatever without expecting something in return. So it's like small steps towards something.
Yeah, just community that is created around shared interests. Maybe just to add on what Ivana said, like creating a safe space for sharing, discussions, supportive environment. Yeah, sharing resources, feedback is really one of the key things that like collective work should include. Also, sense of belonging, I think, also in a way, and yeah, just space for connection, building relationships. Also, since the theme of our conversation is expanding circles, like collective work also pushes that expanding personal, professional circles and connections. And just maybe, yeah, to finish with saying that it is important to have a space of empathy and learning, and I think these are like the main ingredients that make collective work in the end.
Thank you so much for enriching our workshop and gathering this in this way. I would now like to open up the space for questions or thoughts from the audience. If someone wants to share some thought with us. Okay, if not, that would be all from us. Thank you all for your attention. Thank you, Ivana, for participating.
Thank you. Thank you.